All right, so I wanted to make this video specific, not for Ruin Leon, although Ruin Leon's kind of funny sometimes. Uh, to shit on Zanderhal because I promised I would do a dedicated video shitting on Zanderhal that was actually like big, and then by the time I went to make it, like he already ruined his career. So I'm like, okay, um, well, fuck. Everyone already said what I was gonna say, so hey, I would have nothing added to it. But I decided I'll shit on him anyway for this thing, even though like it's definitely not as important as the actual breakdown he had, which he was going to. I kind of saw he was going to have that one for a while. I mean, he's spiraling down for a while. But anyway, let's go.
I am what's known on the streets as a very simple-minded human being. And when I go through life and I go through all my trials and tribulations, when I'm sad, I often like to watch comedy specials.
Yeah, comedy is like great. Now, what I like about this guy is he actually states comedy's actual purpose and not like Carl Benjamin's it up saying, comedy is supposed to offend you. If you're not feeling mad at comedy, it didn't do its job, as if like that's actually what comedy is supposed to do. No. In fact, comedy is supposed to do the opposite. It's supposed to be funny so you can be offensive and get away with it, right? Like that's really what it comes down to. It's so you can say things that would be offensive to people without getting your ass whooped, because eventually like that's what it comes down to, right? Like jesters were basically second-hand advisors to the king, right? Other than the right-hand man, there was the right-hand man and then there was the jester, right? And they were like the two main advisors for the king. And the reason why the jester was usually such a high position, they weren't really officially a high position, by the way, but they were unofficially such a high position that they trusted them almost as much as they trusted their most loyal advisor, is because they would tell it as a joke. They could insult the king and get away with it, which also meant that they would be willing to criticize the king more than the right-hand man would. And the reason why that's important is sometimes the king fucks up, right? And so having a guy whose job it is to speak critically of the king in a way that makes him like acceptable to it is very important, right? So that's kind of like why, right? It was unofficially that kind of title, but you know, when the king fucks up, he goes to his jester, not his right-hand man, right? Because he knows the jester is going to tell him what for, right? But that's the thing. Comedy isn't supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to be funny. It is offensive, right? But then again, so is everything, right? Like everything is offensive. It's not really like it's supposed to be. It's just people get offended by anything, right? It doesn't have to be a joke. People just get offended by anything, right? So no, comedy isn't supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to be funny. It is offensive just because everything's offensive. But the point of comedy is it's to disguise the offense, right? This is why like I always hate it when like some far right guys like comedy is supposed to be offensive, so when I say fuck you trans people, you're supposed to laugh. I'm like, that's not funny though, right? Like that's not comedy, that's just an insult. like there's definitely many funny trans jokes. I mean, Dave Chappelle is guilty of many. I mean, you know, I always say this, like I'm trans myself, but you know, when Dave Chappelle came on stage, you know, beforehand, the transphobes had one joke. Afterhand, they had a lot of jokes. They had more than one. It was multiple. I can tell you that. However many jokes he told on stage, they had. Right? Like that's my takeaway on. Obviously, I don't think he's actually transphobic, but that's beside the point. That's how I take it. Like, hey, they have more jokes now. Shit, damn, right? Like, that's my thing. Like, he's actually funny because he knows humor is the point of comedy, not insulting people. Like most transphobic comedians don't know how to make an actual fucking joke, right? Like, look at Jerry Seinfeld. He's like literally says the same like attack helicopter bullshit. What is the woke doing here? What is the woke ruining comedy bullshit? Like, that's basically his same routine he did before, but it was like, why is it PC culture? Like, it was, you said this fucking 20 years ago, dude. Get new material. Just changing the word from PC to woke doesn't make it funnier. Right? Like, go back to, like, you're not in Seinfeld anymore. You're not getting written by actually funny people who make their own jokes. And yours apparently as well. You like either drop stage comedy because you're not funny at all, like without someone competent writing your own jokes, or just get booed off stage, which is what happened. Like, yeah, dude, you're not funny. Like, you have to actually make new jokes to be funny, right? Like, people are like, oh, but Amy Schumer and but James Corden and Dane Cook. I'm like, dog, like, no one actually likes them. Come the fuck on.
And over the past number of years, for some reason, comedy and comedians, you know, the professionals who get on stage and make you laugh with a har har and a hee hee and a LOL and a raffle, they have been scrutinized because to the losers who make offensive jokes in private, they get out into public and they say, oh, well, you cannot make these offensive jokes that I also make, but I'm too much of a wuss to do it out loud. So I'm...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, this is my thing, really, like, with the far left and the far right, to be fair, too. But the far right has less power in this. Usually, if you don't find a joke funny, that's fine. But, like, shut the fuck up. Right? Like, my thing is, like, if the entire, like, if you, like, spend, like, 10 minutes or 20 minutes in the special, like, he's already, like, halfway through and you haven't laughed, then it's like, okay, fine, start heckling. Because, like, then he's just not funny. You could probably out-comedy him. You might get some more laughs at that point from the crowd than he does. Because you might actually be able to tell a decent joke better than him by making fun of him, right? But if you're heckling, like, as soon as he tells his first joke you don't like, then you're retarded and you're just setting yourself up. That's what happens a lot with, like, people who go after, like conservative comedians. Most of them aren't even funny. It's just, they, like, the thing is, I feel like a lot of conservative, quote, comedians don't even know how to make anyone laugh because a lot of their jokes are just stale. When I say conservative comedians, I mean, like, in quotes, as in there's plenty of conservative comedians, but, like, there's conservative comedians and there's conservative comedians, right? Just like there's also conservative comedians. Like which one are you adding the quotes to? If it's at none of the words, those guys are really, like, great. If it's like, it's like George Carlin or Richard Pryor, who are also pretty great. If it's conservative, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the Dane Cook crowd. It's like, you're a right-leaning Amy Schumer. You're unfunny. And, like, that's a lot of conservative comedians, right? It's like that crowd where like, no, right? A conservative comedian is someone like, I'm going to be honest. Ralphie May, I'm pretty sure was a good one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ralphie May was conservative, right? Like, actually conservative, I mean, like, not just, he would be considered conservative by, like, people, like, talking about how anyone who isn't far left is somehow conservative, which is apparently something the far left does when it's, when they want to criticize someone, but the far right does whenever they want to, like, not criticize someone, which is stupid, like, but that's how it goes, right? Like, most comedians were kind of left or, you know, like center right at most, right? That's another thing. Like, most comedians tend to be anti-authoritarian, so they tend to be center anyway if they're funny. Like, authoritarian comedians just don't fucking work. Like, you know, like, I feel like 90% of the joke has to be, like, you have to have the freedom of speech to oppose authoritarian governments. Right? Like, that's really what the punch up thing means. Like, always go after the government is, like, a good, like, thing, right? Like, it's not like you have to always, but, like, going after the government is, like, if you never do it at all, you tend to be a very shitty comedian. Like, it's not even just in my eyes, just, like, in general. You kind of have to go against the status quo usually, right? It's partially, I feel like this is the thing, partially because part of comedy is a subversion of expectations, and the status quo is expectations, right? That's why it's partial. A lot of reasons why get new material is a common phrase for a bad comedian to hear, right? Because they aren't subverting your expectations, so they're not as funny as they should be.
Must sit here and virtue signal because you are offending a bunch
Like
of people.
another thing is like, I feel like funny and offensive, like unfunny and offensive have to be two things. Because I didn't really find like the whole like joke about like the phone thing. Like it's comedy, but I didn't feel like find it funny because it just like like really like I don't see what's the humor in it. But like someone might, right? I can see that it's supposed to be humorous, right? But for me, like unfunny doesn't mean offensive necessarily, right? Like offensive, to me, has to either be two categories, right? It's so bad and trying so hard to be funny that it's just like, yeah, right? Like you know those jokes, right? Or another one is just like it's not a joke; it's literally just insulting people and being racist. Which is a far more common one than the other one, to be fair.
We don't want to hear them fat phobic ass jokes. 1980 some old archaic ass jokes.
All right, well, insipid lipids, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to be made fun of. You know, I know you weigh 9,001 pounds and have a neck beard that is more hair than chin. You know, like, but you also only have the neck beard. Like, once it gets above the jawline, you stop having hair. Like you're like the ultimate neck beard. Only the neck has a beard, right? But yeah, on a serious note, like I just find it stupid, like the lengths people go to and stuff. You know. It's just, man.
Y'all can't even take jokes no more. Nah, man, you can't take a criticism of a joke. I didn't know that comedians were above criticism. I didn't know comedy as a genre could not be critiqued. You know, fat phobia is defined as having discrimination or prejudice towards people that are identified as fat. And when it comes to being fat phobic or ableist, a lot of y'all think it's a free-for-all.
I don't really think most people are fat phobic. I think they think fat people can be funny. And being funny means you can laugh at them. Like, I don't like the concept of being so obese that you turn into a literal ball, which is is a joke, right? Now, obviously, like it doesn't happen, but there are plenty of people who are more closer to being orb shaped than cylinder shaped. So like that's the thing, right? Like. There's more ball people than tube people, I guess. Like there are people who are more ball than tube, right? You're supposed to be like kind of a tube, like somewhat a tube shape on your torso. But there's people who will literally have ball shaped torsos, almost, right? Like so, that's funny, you know. Like that is very humorous. That it's just a bouncy ball, right? Walking down the street. Like I don't have to like. I'm chubby, right? I'm not really like fat, but I'm not skinny, and I don't see a problem with it. Like it's not bad to make fun of that because you're not really making fun of the person. You're making fun of like, hey, look, dude, this guy looks fucking funny, right? And same with like the disabled people. Like, are we making fun of people who are retarded or people who are stupid, right? Like that's a thing. Like I think like should also be a thing. Like, are we talking about smart people who act like retards or actual retarded people? Because that's another thing. Like, I feel like actually making fun of someone who doesn't even know what they're doing is bad. You can like find humor in that, but like I feel like it is bad to make fun of someone who literally isn't doing anything really wrong and it just looks stupid because they have like some rare genetic. Like, yeah, sure, I think that's bad. I don't think it's it's bad to make those jokes. I just think like I would not find them funny, right? I personally don't find insults funny, and I feel like when you're that disabled, it's hard to make a joke that isn't just flat out an insult. So for me, I kind of agree on I just don't find them funny. on the disabled part, at least, not the fat. I don't fucking care, right? But at the same time, right, like, I don't see, like, a problem. Right? Like, if someone finds it funny, like, I'm not going to stop them. Right? I'll just be like, I don't find that funny, dude.
Somehow everybody agrees.
Now, if we're in the street and you keep harassing me with it, I'm like, dog, I can knock your lights out. Get the fuck away from me. You're stalking me. Like, you've literally been following me for 2 hours. I literally, like, live, like, 3 hours away. You've been following me the entire way. Get the fuck away from me, you motherfucker. Like, it's 3 a.m. I'll push you. I'm, like, half your height, and I'll still whoop your ass. I'm 5'4", so, like, I'm also tiny. But I'm, like, I'm at the right height, because I'm right at the height where I can just undercut you into the balls. Like, at full force. I'm at that height, right?
Disabled people and fat people can be the butt of any jokes at the expense of anybody being able to laugh. We need better comedians, better comedy, better jokes. Education is elevation.
I do agree with that last bit, but I don't agree with, like, the mindset behind it. We do need better comedians and better jokes, but I don't agree with the rest of it.
There is something genuinely depressing about watching Dave Chappelle, who is one of, if not the best comic of our lifetime, reduce himself to the guy who makes trans jokes.
What do you mean? Like, he makes all kinds of jokes. Like, he makes jokes about trans people, too, sure. All right.
And when Dave Chappelle first started telling these jokes,
I feel like the thing is he makes trans jokes. That's the other thing, right? Like, he's the first one to tell actual trans jokes is a lot of it, right? Like, he's creates them, like he's in a lab, like he's at, like, welding them or something. Like, he's bringing them into existence, not like he makes them as in he tells them, but like he literally creates them, right?
I understood where it came from.
Like, that's how I feel with Dave Chappelle. Like, that's why I like Dave Chappelle's trans jokes. They are very offensive, and, you know, some of them hit a little harder than I would like. But, hey, you know, that's sometimes about comedy. Sometimes, like, you find them, like, hurtful, you know, but also funny. But at the same time, right, like, yeah, some of his jokes cut deep. I'll admit that, sure. But I mean, he does that with everyone, right? Like, he does that with white America, black America, and all that too, right? So he's not reducing himself. He's just, you know, he's expanding his skill set. And also because he is able to make trans jokes that are actually humorous, that are not just pro-simping for girl cock jokes, I find that good. Right, we need some good critical trans jokes. Other than, you know, we haven't had one since we've had a second gender. You know, like, it's just like, goddamn, dude, like, you've literally said that like 30 years ago. I'm getting tired of that one. Right? Like, at least, like, Dave Chappelle makes actual jokes. You know what I mean?
I didn't personally find it funny, and it's not because I was offended. It's just because, like, the jokes themselves are not funny, but I sort of understood where it came from.
I'm a trans woman. Can my opinion finally be overweigh a black chick on something? Like, these are jokes about my people, not yours.
Because Dave Chappelle is an aging comic who built his career off of being relatable and being kind of like an everyday man and telling relatable stories about relatable people.
He still does. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, man, I got it. I can't really watch it on, like, videos and stuff, but I gotta do it anyway.
We as average people could really relate to, but because he's rich and elite and has been for multiple decades, he has lost that sort of that everyday touch, and his life and his stories and his experiences are no longer relatable to people like us.
I think he's still very relatable, you know? I think, like, yeah, sure, like, he got more offensive, but, like, he's still funny, right? Like, that's the thing. If they're still funny, I don't care. Like, if it's like Kanye West, where they're not even fucking funny anymore, then yeah. Although, to be fair, Kanye West isn't a comedian; he's a singer. So I guess, like, you can give him a pass on that. Like, first try at comedy sucked, but I mean, that means he might get better at it one day. But yeah, just repeating "I like Hitler" like in the most obnoxious, annoying voice. Like you're fucking annoying orange, right? Nah, it's not funny, right? Like, it's sort of like quartering sense of humor. It's like, white supremacist. It's literally like a joke of his. He just says white supremacist really like obnoxious and retarded. It like that's not humorous. Like it just sounds like you are choking on your own saliva. Like you need to get that checked out, Jeremy.
And so because of that, he has to
I know it's not my dick because I fucked your wife, not you. Just so you know, like unless you had a wig and your wife has a very convincing like quartering filter on that pizza video, I'm pretty sure I fucked your wife though. But maybe I fucked him and he just has a very convincing AI filter that he puts his wife under, and he shaved his beard. I don't think that's what happened. But I'll pretend that could have also happened because it's funnier to me. If it, not really. I don't want to catch whatever he has, but still, I'm just fucking around. Obviously, I would never actually cuck someone, but it would be funny if he was cucked in that pizza video, which is why he totally was. But you didn't hear it from me. You heard it from the quartering's wife's boyfriend, which might be me.
fall back on shock value. And he's not the only comic who does this. Ricky Gervais does it, Louis C.K. does it, Chris Rock does it, because these men specifically are aging and they're elite and they just don't.
I don't think that's true at all. I just think like they see humor in trans people sometimes. Like we're funny to there's funny things to say about my people, right? My people. There's funny things to say about us. Like you don't have to sugarcoat it. Like there's jokes about us that can be made, and they're very funny sometimes. Most of the time, no, but a lot of these cases that you brought up, yes. I don't know about Louis C.K. I mean, Louis C.K. hasn't been funny to me really since he raped someone. I mean, honestly, that's probably why. But yeah, the others are good still,
have the touch anymore. And since we live in an attention economy,
honestly, that's why I don't like Louis C.K. It's sort of like Razor Fist. Razor Fist became less funny after he raped Eve. Well, actually, no, not after he raped Eve. After I found out he raped Eve, he became less funny. So that's not good, right? But the silver lining is, there's many funnier people anyway. It's just it's whatever, right? But he did become significantly less funny since that. But that's also mainly because, sometimes when you have a bad impression of or something someone did, it does give you less of an impression of their work, which might also be my thing with Louis C.K. too. Although I do think his comedy actually fell off. Razor Fist seems to be pretty much the same, right? He still seems to be telling the same jokes. But I can't, really care to watch him anymore. It's sad because he actually genuinely does entertain me. It's just I can't feel anything anymore because it's god damn, I know separate art from the artist, but sometimes it's hard to
it doesn't really
it's sort of like Rurouni Kenshin for critical, right? It's not that Rurouni Kenshin is bad or somehow got worse magically, but it did get worse for a lot of people who were just against pedophilia, right? You know what I mean? It does get worse depending on who it is and what they do, right?
Benefit Dave Chappelle to actually be funny, right? Because if he's just a funny guy telling funny jokes, sure, that's fine, but is he really going to, get the masses talking about him? Is he really going to get that attention? Or is it just going to be sort of his regular fans who have been his fans for decades who are going to come out and see him, right? That's what he would get if he was actually funny. But instead, he chooses to be controversial because now he's got all the Twitter trolls going and, there are op-eds being written and, panels being held and, all of this stuff that goes around with is Dave Chappelle hurting the trans community by telling these jokes? He gets the activists riled up, and all of that attention and all of that hoopla, only serves to motivate entities like Netflix to give him specials, to pay him millions of dollars, because they know that they can capture the culture.
I mean, kind of, but no. I mean, that's really like left-wing journalists than anything. Like, you could argue that TMZ is riling people up, and that's causing controversy, which is causing more money for Netflix, which is causing more money for Dave Chappelle. Sure, but Dave Chappelle telling the jokes isn't what's doing it, right? Like, it's the tabloids reporting it as more than just jokes. Which is really like the thing. Like, I feel like a lot of like the whole trans boycotts things tend to be overblown. Like, remember like Hogwarts Legacy and how it was like one server group and like a couple other people with 7 followers and 3 likes. Like Asmongold talked about it before it happened. It was literally Marina's server group and then like 7 follower, 3 like accounts, and that was it. But like it felt massive because of what they did to Silvervale, Pikami, and all that. But it was literally not that big. It's just they were consistent and fucking dedicated. It was disgusting what they did. Like, people are talking about like, oh, we need to defend. Like, no, we don't need to defend them. Like, trans people in general, sure, but like the crowd was fucking insane. Like, I wish I still had my Twitter, like original Twitter when that happened, because I would have fucking went ham on that shit. Like, that was, like, I ended up like having like my account gone for a year during that period because it was like banned. So I didn't have my Twitter, so I had to re-get it, and then I just like got bored and deleted it because Twitter fucking sucked for a bit. And they brought it back, but I already deleted the account, so I lost everything. So yeah. But anyway, I could have talked a shitload about how bad that boycott was. I did criticize like the idea of it as like one of my later tweets before the temp permaban. It's like funny because I temporarily got permabanned which shouldn't actually be a thing, right? I got my permaban overturned, and then I deleted that account. Because I got bored of it. So yeah.
There's attention.
I've done that like a lot since, by the way. Like, I will create an account and then like eventually just get bored of using the fucking platform and create a new one, delete the old one,
Just being really controversial, saying shitty things about, minorities. And so that's what he does. And then you have upstarts here like Handsome Squidward who are taking a note right out of the Dave Chappelle handbook of, start your career being relatable, of cultivating an audience of people who think you're one thing. And then when you decide that that's not working for you anymore, use controversy as a way to garner attention.
I don't agree. I mean, yeah, kind of, but no, right? Yeah, kind of, in that like they like stir up controversy because like that's part of a comedian's fucking job. But no, past that, right? Like a comedian's job is to stir up controversy partially, right? Because part of it is to make you laugh. The other part is to stir up a conversation in the first place about certain things. Like I said, the reason why comedy gets to be offensive is because it's funny, right? You still need to be offensive to like really like retain relevancy for a long time. But it's not that it's supposed to be offensive. It's that you get to be offensive, right? Because if you just go out insulting people without any jokes, no one likes you, right? And rightfully so, because you're a piece of shit, right? If you make people laugh, you can tell them bad things about themselves, and they will be more willing to listen, right? Because you're giving them something of value before you insult them, right?
To get the Twitter trolls going, because like it's, any attention is good attention. And I just think that there are so many comics these days who use controversy as a crutch because they're not actually funny.
Well, the pagan saint of society, Zanderhal, has...
I mean, she's not wrong on that last part, but she's wrong on who it is, but she isn't wrong on like people doing that. She's just wrong on who it is.
Decided over the past week to, just react to some video.
This is like the point of the video. Also, yeah, Zanderhal's fucking retarded.
About self-hating Asian Uncle Roger. Because for some reason in his mind, he's upset that white people...
Is he like talking about Uncle Ruckus, no relation, but Asian? Like honestly, I feel like Uncle Roger is effectively like like that, right? Um, yeah.
Are viewing this comedy.
Oh, Stephen He, like if that's the case and he's like literally just Stephen He, uh, Zanderhal is fucking like even more retarded than I thought. Like obviously an Uncle Ruckus no relation character would be a little more offensive. Is another thing. Like Stephen He just makes fun of Asian stereotypes. He doesn't make fun of Asian people. So like, I mean, I guess like some Asian people, but like most of them are like, you get the idea. Like the stereotypes, obviously, someone applies to them, but like it's not usually like that much, right? It's not. It's usually not the majority. It's just a significant amount of the minority for a long enough period of time that it feels like it could be the majority sometimes. But it's really just like 5% of the population. It's just that's a big percentage.
And they're laughing because, maybe, just maybe, they're not supposed to be in on the joke. And if they're in on the joke, that might be a little bit of racism. And, it's a little bit of offensive. And, that's a little...
I mean, honestly, I can't stand that fucking, like, but, like, still. I can't stand Zanderhal either, so... I'm going to watch this, but also Zanderhal is fucking annoying to listen to, too.
Watching this currently on the live stream, subscribe to the live channel for more
like really, like you suck at humor too, but I mean at least you accept better humor, but like also like you're not a comedian. Well, I just admitted that like both of your jokes have fucking sucked.
Impromptus such like this, and he sat there and he said, "Oh, if my grandma had a thick Italian accent, if I made fun of her, is that bad?" Yes. If you're gonna sit here and talk about Asians being self-hating, yes.
Wait. You're telling me
you're
telling me that
you made fun of poor little granny.
Wait, you're telling me that making fun of Italians is bad, Zanderhal?
Seems to be getting cheered on by white people, or I shouldn't even say white people. Non-Asians seem to be the ones.
Look, Zanderhal, I should chew you up into some fettuccine and put your body in my Lamborghini, and then drive you all the way into a car like Mussolini. I don't know about that last part, but you know, like, goddamn, dude, like, fuck off. Yeah, you're saying like you have to be Italian, of Italian descent to make fun of Italian people. Like, fuck you. I'll do the Mario, motherfucker.
We're out of these videos, and I don't.
I wonder why. Let's just see for a second. I look at this guy. Look at this guy. Uncle Roger makes a bunch of cooking-related content, has a little fuyo in it, and it's a guy making fun of his culture, his heritage, and adding food to it. Fuyo, hiya! It's supposed to be funny, and I'm sorry.
Wait. That's what he does. So it's not even like he's making fun of Asian people. It's that he's being a bit more like of an Asian stereotype for like to ham it up for comedic effect, but ultimately 90% of his content isn't even about like Asian stereotypes or anything. He just does it like at the end for humor. Okay, this is even lamer to make fun of, right? Like this is just like, hey, he has a cool niche thing. Like he makes good food, and then he makes like a fuya or something, kind of like.
But when it comes to comedy, I didn't know there was a racial barrier in which I could laugh. I'm sorry that when I feel sad, you know who I watch as my top comedian to make me laugh without a shadow of a doubt? Gabriel Iglesias.
Gabriel Iglesias is just like, I call him like a positive like comedian in that like he doesn't really deprecate too many people, but he does. Like he's the guy who will fat shame you in a way that you will like being fat somehow. I don't know how to describe him. Like he makes it like fat is cool. It's really not, like, you know, you like, but like. Everything about him is like he will make the negative stereotype and then act and like somehow make it seem cool, which I love, right? Like that's the thing. Like sometimes it is like actually cool, but like usually it's not, right? But like he makes it seem like that on stage, right? Like he's fluffy. You know, he's not fat. He's fluffy. You know, he's actually fatter than fat. You know, it's the fat that's cool. Right? He's the fluffy.
A Mexican. Burn me at the stake because I'm laughing at a guy making border jokes. I'm laughing at a guy who, one of his most infamous jokes is leaving a racially stereotyped Thanksgiving, or not Thanksgiving, but Easter basket at someone's doorstep. My bad. Burn me for laughing and finding things so funny.
I don't know if that's a good thing, because I don't know if they're getting the humor for the right reasons.
Who the fuck cares?
My man, it's comedy. It's supposed to make you laugh. It's supposed to make you feel good inside.
First off, I don't even think like most people are getting like there might be like 2 people and those guys are racist, but like they're gonna have fun anyway because those are the guys that they think misfortune of any kind they laugh, right? Because they're trolls, right? They don't have a real sense of humor. They have a sense of I hurt someone's feelings today, and that's their sense of humor. They don't have a legit one. Right, they're the ones that saying offensive equals comedy. Now, you know, most people aren't laughing at him for that. I feel like most people are like, oh, Fuyo is very, like, happy and high energy, which tends to be, like everyone hates to say, it hates loud equals funny, but loud equals funny, right? Be honest, like a well-timed F word and loud equals funny. Like I'm just gonna be honest, it does. Everyone's like, but I don't like the Seth Rogen has-been hotel every joke that is an F-bomb. Well, you know what? That's fair, but also you're wrong. You know, like VTubers and has-been hotel are big and popular for a reason. And it's because F-bombs and loud equal funny. Just the numbers say otherwise. Just deal with it.
You're supposed to har. You're supposed to laugh. That's the reason. That's the reason they make comedy skits, so that you could laugh. I understand that in a world full of a bunch of people who don't know how to actually be funny, it's difficult.
Well, you also got to be hot. So hot, horny, and loud are funny.
And you don't really know how to actually communicate with the outside
world. Like every VTuber has been hotel, amazing digital circus, all of that. What do they all have in common? They're hot, they're they're spicy, they're horny, and they're loud, right? Because spicy isn't edgy. So edgy, horny, and loud. So EHL, you need to be edgy, you need to be horny, and you need to be loud. That's guaranteed comedy, baby. Like, you know, just be like, yeah, I'm gonna stick my foot in your face. You big disgrace. Sniffing my toes all over the place. What the fuck did I just want? I subverted my own expectations there.
World, and you want to see your way of life, which is everybody stay away from each other, and you only laugh at specific things. You can't even do that anymore because an Asian making fun of Asians means you're just a self-hating Asian. We're doomed.
It's not even making fun of Asians. He's just saying something funny. That's the worst part. Is like he's not even making fun of Asians. He's just doing an Asian stereotype that he finds funny. That's not making fun of Asians. That's using the fact that you are Asian as a joke.
Society.
It's not even making fun of them.
Quite concisely, it's actually
I'm not watching no goddamn video with you about how you somehow found someone else to make your dog shit argument. Here's the thing I want everyone to take away from this. Comedy is subjective. If you don't like it, let's say, for example, I'm watching comedy and it's of the worst comedian of all time, Amy Schumer, and I'm watching her attempt to be funny, and I'm just bored. I'm not watching that anymore. Why? Because it's not funny. I'm not going on some long soliloquy to describe my pain and trials and tribulations of having to hear a woman's...
What you're saying is you're not going to go on an unhinged hour rant on how the words "my vagina" aren't funny. Like, come on, motherfucker. You can't tell me you can't think of 1 hour's worth of content on why my vagina is not humorous. You're telling me that smelly clam doesn't equal humor? You're telling me that rotten pussy isn't a good joke? You're telling me that decrepit cunt is not funny? You need to have like a better like argument for that than just like, I don't like that, sir. I don't like Amy Schumer. I'm not funny, right? You need to go on an hour rant, prove your point in the arena. Give me the Thunderdome. Just go on like forever and ever and ever until the end of time on why this fat fucking bitch with the smelly ass pussy is not humorous to you, motherfucker. Because if you can't do that, you can't even do that one little thing, the one simple task that you can do, but you choose not to, then you are no longer worth my time, you fucking the dude with curly hair. You look like a man's testicles on your haircut, but not really. But I wanted to say something funny, and I just couldn't think what else has curly hair. And yeah, my balls do. So that's what I came up with. Anyway, I could do an hour rant, and I could do it like high energy too. But I don't want to, but I could. And also, like, it's Amy Schumer, so I'm not gonna fucking do that. Well, like, my joke was obviously that defending Amy Schumer is retarded. Because even if I do manage to make that funny in the defense of Amy Schumer, the problem is, right, I'd have to, I'd be funnier than the thing I'm defending. Which is a low blow for any comedian. Like, you can't defend something that's beneath you. Like, Amy Schumer is beneath all, right? Because she is ultimately, like, the killer of comedy. Like, she would kill the Joker in the comics, right? She would just be like, the Joker just needs to die. And, like, that would be it, right? Because she kills comedy. So she killed the Joker. Right? You get the idea, right? Like, the joke is that the Joker is a comedian, and she killed him, and therefore she killed what he represents, because he's a symbol, and therefore she killed comedy, because that's what the Joker represents, and not like chaos or disorder or anything, because that wouldn't make the joke work. We're making the joke work by saying the Joker represents comedy, and therefore because the Joker represents comedy and she murdered him, she killed comedy. Now obviously that's not actually true. In reality, she can't kill shit except for my brain cells. But instead of acting like she didn't just kill my brain cells and everyone now is dumber for having heard her argument, I want to have a bit more humor and just say that fat obnoxious retarded bitch that no one likes is actually very well liked, because my vagina is the greatest joke ever. That's why she tells it so often, right? Like, would she tell a joke 1,000 times if it wasn't funny the 1,001st? I mean, yeah, she just doesn't have enough jokes, so she has to recycle them all, like, even on the same comedy special, which is very sad. But yeah, we're gonna pretend like she can. No, really, she can't. She has no material. She's like Jerry Seinfeld, but without ever having any good writers. That's all it is. At least Jerry Seinfeld had good writers for like a show and a B movie, right? Anyways, yeah.